Hello. Today in this video I'm going to walk you through how to create units and lessons in the PLUS portals for St. Philip the Apostle School. I'm already logged in, as you can see, and here on the home screen we have the multiple classes that I teach. So I have 6th grade, A and B, 7A and B, 8A and B, and homeroom. As you scroll down, you will see the normal things that you see on your home screen, which is notifications and the calendar, etc. So we're going to go ahead and go to the class you want to create a lesson plan for. So I always start with the A because then I can copy it into the B. So I'll start with 6A. And what it's going to take you to is your basic home screen for this particular class. You have class summary, homework and assignments that are coming up. This is 6th grade Social Studies Chapter 8 test. That's coming up next for them. Nothing else is showing, even if it's scheduled, because you can schedule the time which it will appear and when it will disappear, which we'll go over in the lesson plans. So here, this is the home screen. You'll see there's multiple tabs, and we're going to click Lesson Planner. From here, you'll see there's two sets of boxes. There's a box over here on the left, which is units and lesson plans. Over here is the specific unit with its lesson plans. So I have gone ahead and I created units, and then the units have the days that they are applicable for on the calendar, and then each lesson is a chapter in the book, and those also have dates that are associated with it. So we're going to go ahead and create a new unit because I need to start a new unit with 6th grade. So when you create new unit, you have the option to create a new unit, add a unit from a previous year's class, add a unit from another class this year. So go ahead and do that again. You go over to unit and lesson plans, you click to add unit, and then I'm going to create a new unit because I don't have any from a previous year or from another class yet. Then it's going to ask for a name. So this is unit 4, the Greeks. The start date I know will be after our next test, which is the 12th, so it's going to start on the 15th. Then I choose an end date. Now you can always go in and edit this. So I know that there's 4 chapters in Unit 4 and that I generally spend 2 weeks per chapter. I should end somewhere around April 1st. So I have all that lined out in the calendar elsewhere, but just so you know, you can add it on here, and once I've saved it, it is not set in stone, it can be changed. So here it is, Unit 4, the Greeks, from February 15th through April 1st. And if I ever want to change anything, I just click Edit right here. And it pops right up again. So we're all ready to go, and I'm going to add a lesson. So I go to Add Lesson right here, plus New Lesson. Now again, you get the option to create a new lesson, add a lesson from a previous year, or add a lesson from another class. I don't have any of those, so I'm going to create a new one. Lesson name, I do it for the chapter. So it's going to be Chapter 9, which is called Beginnings. Then I choose the date. So this is going to start on the same date as the whole unit, but it's going to end in 2 weeks because I know that's how I pace the class. So it'll be done on the 26th of February. And now at this point you can make your lesson visible to parents and students. I personally don't do that, but you can if you want. Now I have my unit and I have my chapter. So I'm going to go ahead and click the chapter lesson, and in here pops up a couple of boxes. The first one is Overview and Objective. The next one's Activities. Then you have Digital Resources and Skills and Standards. So I'm going to go up to Objective and Overview, and I'll click Edit. Once I click Edit, this box pops up. It will not go away until I've saved. This is the only point at which in your lesson plan you must save. If you write anything in this box, you must click Save prior to moving on from this page. So I'm going to go ahead and put the objectives. So I do things that are simple for the most part. I'm going to go ahead and put the students will discuss and analyze the importance of the Minoan and Mycenaean civilizations on the ancient Greeks. Okay, so that's very broad. That's a very broad objective, and then I'll go and do things that are more specific, like we will listen to and discuss the story of the Minotaur on Crete, which is a very important mythological story from this time period. We will do a Google Earth tour of the ruins of Knossos. which is the capital of the ancient Minoan Empire, and you can see all the winding caverns and things like that in there. I also know that we'll do something from a book that's a supplement called The Little History of the World. So I know that we'll do a little history of the world, and I know it's the chapter on the Greeks. So there's multiple things we're going to do in the chapter, and these are all of my objectives and my overviews. If I was going to show a YouTube video, which we do watch a lot of videos in my class, but there's not a YouTube video for this chapter. However, what I would do is I would click over here on YouTube, and at this point I could click the embed code. So I could go ahead and embed a video from YouTube if I wished. So you can find the embed code. You go to YouTube, and let's say I was going to add the embed code from a CGP Grey video. I can just go right here where it says more. And here you have share and you have embed. So you would just cut and paste this code, which is already highlighted. Left click, copy, go back to Portals, YouTube, paste, insert. And now it's there. So if I want to, I can just show it from right here. When it's time for me to do my lesson, I open up my lesson plan, I can just click this, it'll take me right to it. So I'm going to go ahead and be done with that. There's obviously other things that I would be doing in this chapter, but I'm not going to outline them all for everybody. Now remember, at this point, you must click Save before going on. So it's saved, it's all there. If I ever need to edit, I go to Edit. I'm going to go ahead and add activities. There are two types, homework, assessment, and a quiz. The quiz option is a feature where if you click it, it will prompt you to create a quiz or assessment for your class, which will then be sent to them. However, it will only be sent to them if your lesson plans are public. This is something that Mr. Eniguez is working on with Plus Portals and Rediker to see if they can fix that so we don't have to do that. There's a couple other issues, so for right now, even though I'm going to make a quiz right now for them, I'm not going to use quiz. I'm going to say homework assignment. This pops up when you click homework or assignment. And I'm going to do a title. So the title should be short because if you add it to your grade book as an assignment from here, the title needs to be short. So I know that this is 6th grade, it's social studies, and this is going to be chapter 9, or it's going to be quiz number 4 for them this trimester. In the description, I'll now be more specific with what it is that I'm going to do. So chapter 9, vocabulary quiz. I also know that on this day their vocabulary chart is due, so I add that here. So now when the parents see it on the portal, they know that it's 6th grade, they know that it's social studies, and they know that it's a quiz. And when they click it, it will go ahead and pop up with the necessary information. Chapter 9 vocabulary quiz, vocabulary chart due. It's important that you put the grade and what it is, so that way people who have multiple students in multiple classes will know which thing on the calendar they're looking at is for them. You want to make sure it's visible to parents and students. You select a due date. For me, this is going to be the 12th. Then I go ahead and I'm sorry, it's not the 12th. It's going to be the 19th. Then I'm going to select when it's viewable from. So I'll say on the 15th when we start the chapter, it's visible from that date, and then I want it to disappear on the 19th when they take the quiz. You want the dates to be specific. You want them to be precise. If you make it for the entire year, then the calendar for that student will be constantly cluttered with every single thing that's due throughout the whole year. So you need to be specific with beginning and end dates. You can insert links, you can insert a URL if you want, you can add files if you want to, you can add all kinds of files, whether they be PowerPoints or whatever. So if it's paper and the instructions are in a PowerPoint, you can add it. Post to calendar is already clicked, don't worry about it. You then want to say to make it visible to parents, visible to students. Don't worry about category. For this one, I am going to add it to my gradebook as an assignment. So I click this, and you'll notice the bar here got longer. So I'm going to go ahead and scroll down. Now I select category. This is a quiz. The marking period, 2nd trimester. And the number of points possible is 100. Now obviously those will be different depending on when you do this. Then I click count in averages so that when it makes the assignment, it will already count it in the averages, and then when I go input grades, it'll just be very simple. Now you can, if you want, send an email notification to the students and the parents. I don't do this. The reason why is because they will get inundated with emails, and I would only do this in the case of it being an extremely important assignment like a large paper or a project. So I'm going to click Save. And as you scroll down, you'll see now there's an assignment, and I can edit it and I can delete it. Now I'm going to go ahead and walk through the process one more time. You go to Add New, Homework and Assignment. The screen pops up. Give it a title. So make sure the class is in the title. What the class is in particular, if it's like a junior high teacher, social studies. This is going to be test number 4. And then I put a description. This is the chapter 9 test. I also know the study guide will be due that day. Then I want to make sure it's visible to parents. It already is. The date it will be due. This will be the 26th. Make sure when it's visible from. I want it visible from the start of this chapter to the end of the chapter, which is the test date. I have no files to upload or links to do. I want to make sure it's going to the calendar, to the parent, to the student. I'm not going to add this one to the gradebook as an assignment because I really don't like to do that. I like to add it when I go to grade. It's just personal preference on my part. And I click Save. At this point, I now have this chapter done. Overview and objective are finished. Activities are done. I will need to go back and add in standards and skills later, or digital resources. However, this is mostly finished. And then I can click this little arrow up, and it collapses it. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is show you, I'm going to add in the other lessons, that I'm going to add in the other chapters, just to kind of walk you through setting the dates and things like that again. Then I'm going to show you how to copy this to another place if you want to. So I'm going to add a lesson, create new lesson, then I'm going to give it a name. Chapter 10 is titled The City-States. I already know the beginning and end dates, so go ahead and put those in. Make it visible to parents or not, that's up to you. I'm not going to. So that's created. Now normally I would, like I said, click on it, go in here, do all the overview and objective and activities. But I don't want to make this video really long. So now create a new lesson, add a lesson or add a lesson from another year. I'm going to create a new lesson. This one is chapter 11. And it's titled Cultural Contributions. Then I know the dates, so I'm going to go ahead and select those dates from the 14th to the 25th. Click Save. That's all set. Then I'm going to go to Create New Lesson, so I can create the last chapter for this unit, and I'll create a new lesson. This is chapter 12, the Hellenistic period. This is about Alexander the Great. And I click here the date. I know that this one is going to start on the 28th, I believe. Yes, and then it's going to go to 2 weeks after that. And they're going to write a paper in this time period, so I know that that's important. The 8th, and save. Now you'll notice I already made a mistake. I have the chapter 12 lesson ending on April the 8th, but I said my unit's only going to the 1st. Like I said, this is not set in stone, so I just click Edit, and I change my date. Now let's say I forgot to make one of these chapters completely. So I'm going to go ahead and delete chapter 12 just so I can show you something in a minute. So like you can delete things easily, edit things easily. So that's 6A. So I'm going to go ahead and show you how you can just copy it over to 6B. So here you go to Viewing, click Viewing, down to 6B. From here, you're back at the home page for 6B. So you'll click Lesson Plan. And here, I'm going to add a new unit because you'll notice Unit 4 is missing. It's not here. I'm going to add a unit from another class this year, the last option. Then I'm going to see, okay, well I have all these units. Well, here's 6A, Ideas and Armies, Unit 4, the Greeks. That's the one. So I click it, click Next. Units have been added successfully, click OK. And there it is. But now I realize, okay, well I forgot Chapter 12. But I'm in 6B. I don't have to go to 6A and add it. What I can do is go, okay, well I realized it here. I click New Lesson, create a new lesson, go to Chapter 12, the Hellenistic Age, do the dates, the 28th to the 8th, perfect, save. But this is not automatically added to 6A's. So now I'll show you how you can just import a single lesson. So just so you know, Unit 4 here, when I copied it to 6B, the lessons are totally the same and the assignment has now been added to the 6B calendar. Even though the assignments were created in 6A, as soon as I copied in the unit, all the assignments that I've created for all the other lessons will then be uploaded into 6B. So let's go back to 6A. And from 6A we'll go to Lesson Planner. And here you'll notice this Unit 4 doesn't have a Chapter 12, obviously because I deleted it. However, if I want to add it in from the other class, that's very easy. I go to New Lesson, and then I get these same options. Create a lesson, add a lesson from a previous year, or add a lesson from another class this year. I click Add a lesson from another class. Now all of the different lessons from the different units show up. So I notice here I have Unit 4, the Greeks, Chapter 12, the Hellenistic Age. I click it, Next, and it's there. And anything I've done in that lesson in 6B is now here. The great thing is if I have to change any unit at all, what I would do is if I changed everything in 6A, I would just go to 6B, delete the unit, and re-add the unit from the other class. So there's all kinds of great ways you can use the PLUS portals to create units and lessons. You can create single lessons if you want, or you can do like I do and do entire chapters. But that's the basics behind it. If you have questions, don't be afraid to ask.